me talk about our black women real quick. Check. Black on black and beauty's intact. Trust, there's nothing you lack. Nothing can ever sever our soul ties when we together. You my ride and tie, girl. Forever, ever. Forever, ever you fly in any weather. Black, intelligent, smart and clever, full of grace and honor. How dare we ponder? Your strength make a black man's heart grow fonder. Protect our black queens at any cost. See, without the black queen, we catch a lost bee. Taking L's from left to right, vision blurred, but with the black queen we elevate, you heard? Honey, caramel, hazelnut, bronze, chocolate, milk, all shades, no cons. Skin absorbing all the sun, so much melanin. Love the color of your beauty and the light within. Concept, baby.
Concepts, you said it right. I am beautiful in God's sight. Don't you know I am Mother Earth? Everything black and beautiful I have birthed. Let's review my history. Some think it's steeped in mystery. Royal blood runs through my veins. I have carried my people's pains. I am dark like a night in Tunisia. I possess power and wealth like the Queen of Sheba. Naya, Kim, Cynthia, Viola, Kadia, Zozabini, Gabrielle, Beverly, Issa, from Africa, India, America, Jamaica. Dark beauty runs across the world, make no mistake, beautiful mind and beautiful skin. The peace and power that come from within. Don't you feel the pull? We are the color of beautiful.
Image and mirroring his reflection. Black and beautiful, my shortcomings is his perfections. Addicted to the spoil and methodless while they toil. On the clouds I'm in crave. Homage to my people who fight to be equal.
Welcome, beautiful people. Welcome to Colorism Conversations. I am Dr. Karen Moore, founder of I Am the Color of Beautiful Global Spoken Word Initiative and Movement, where we are redefining the standard of beauty for women of color, and we are focused on eradicating colorism in communities of color across the globe. And we certainly welcome you to this episode of Colorism Conversations. Please invite other people to come and join in the conversation. Those of you that will be watching us on the replay, welcome. And we just really appreciate you being here and honoring this time of talking about colorism, a subject that many times we don't want to talk about, but that is so prevalent in our society and so prevalent in what is going on around us in the world today. And so I'm going to bring on my co-host. She's been co-hosting with me for the last few weeks, and I'm so honored to have her here. And that is my beautiful sister, Renee Moore.
Hello, how are you?
Beautiful. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So today we're going to talk about colorism and the billion-dollar beauty industry. And it's really been an interesting, as we've talked to prepare for the show, it's really been an interesting conversation, and interesting with the things that we've come to find out about beauty and what is determined to be beautiful, and who the beauty industry really wants to cater to. And in many instances, that determines who the beauty industry feels are valuable, are the ones who are valuable to market to and to provide products for, and to really cater to when it comes to the whole idea of beauty and who is beautiful and who determines what beauty really is. And we talk about this all the time for the color of beautiful, and here in Colorism Conversations, about getting to a place where in our communities of color, we determine what beauty is. We don't allow anyone else to dictate that to us and to determine for us what beauty is, because for so long, that's what's been dictated to us. And that's the whole, I believe, that's the whole premise that we bought into about what is beautiful. And we allow people to tell us in our own communities even what's beautiful. And so we have to begin to establish and say for ourselves what is beautiful.
Absolutely. And it's everything traces back to a lot of times colonialism, where they established what was beautiful. So a lot of the makeup was historically to cater to what they established as beautiful. So, we do see changes happening today, but we have to hope those changes are sustained. But we also need more change. There needs to be more recognition of the variety of skin tones that are out there, and that, regardless of what color spectrum you fall into, you're beautiful and you're worthy to feel beautiful.
Right. And I can specifically remember when I first started getting to a place where I wanted to wear makeup. And I even say this in the spoken word piece that I do, Brown and Beautiful. I say a trip to the makeup counter. I'm sorry, we don't have your shade. And I specifically remember going into, I want to say, well, it was a major department store. Let me put it that way. It was a major department store that's still around today, a major department store, and going to the counter to get makeup, and the woman telling me, I'm sorry, we don't have your shade. And I mean, I'm getting older, but I'm not that old that it was that long ago. That I guess we're talking quite a few decades. So when I first started wearing makeup, that it was the issue of they did not have makeup
for my shade, for my shade of skin tone.
Right.
So I can very distinctly remember that. And I remember feeling that I was not included and that I wasn't important, because here I'm going into a major department store, to the counter of a major cosmetic brand, and they didn't have a shade for me.
Right. So where does that leave you to find a shade? So then you go into you have to go into a drugstore or a another store where they don't have necessarily a makeup counter. So you're now left to try and figure out if this color is going to match me, even though I can't try it.
Up to your skin, trying to figure out if
Right.
the right color.
And you spend a lot of money like that, because once you get it home and you find out not only is it not the right color, but our skin is different.
Yeah.
Whether my skin tends to be dry, so now I've got this dry makeup on my dry skin. It's not the right color and I look ashy. So where does that leave you? It leaves you spending a lot of money trying to get what matches for you. And then sometimes, like you were even telling me, sometimes you've got to say, okay, well, this isn't quite right and this isn't quite right, but if I mix them,
Right.
then, so now you've spent maybe 3 or 4 times as much money
Exactly.
just trying to match your skin tone, because you had to do the trial and error thing. And then you may have to have 2 shades that you mix together in order to accomplish what you're trying to accomplish, in order to match your skin tone and have you look as natural as possible.
Right. Because I never wanted to have that, what I call that made up look, which if that's what you like, that's what you like.
Right.
I'm not saying anything against that. It wasn't for me to have that real made up look, but I prefer to look more natural. And I still feel even today that it's still a challenge, because the one makeup that I did find that I really like is like $47 for foundation.
Right.
And so when you're trying to, when you can't spend $47 for foundation, and then you have to look at spending less for foundation, then so sometimes I'm still back in the mixing, I'm back in the mixing 2 colors to try to get close to what I feel is making me look my best and natural for me.
Right. And then too, you have to be careful, because a lot of times you get what you pay for. So if you're in a drugstore and you're getting that, they have found that the darker the skin tone, the less titanium dioxide they need to put in the foundation, because it's the titanium dioxide that makes you look gray or ashy. And then, a lot of them use a very red base.
Oh my gosh, let's not even talk about the red.
And the tone of your redness may not be as red as your skin, so, and that's not to say that, because some of the even more expensive makeups have that really red tone to them.
Yeah.
That make you look, far more red than is your natural.
Right. Right. And then, so now though, when you're looking for makeup, especially if you're looking online, they have for the red undertones, or for the yellow undertones, or the golden undertones, or the neutral undertones. So if you don't even know what your undertone is, whatever that even means, you've got to know what your undertone is to be able to get the best shade for you. And you're still many times still struggling, the darker you are, to still get a shade that is complementary for you. And that, because you don't want to, I'm not trying to look lighter than I am. I have, I've embraced my color now. I've embraced my color. So I'm not trying to look lighter. But I also don't want it too dark where it doesn't look natural when you start looking, because when you start looking all around here, and you got this real dark makeup on, and you're not as dark and stuff down here. So being able to find that shade that really compliments, and then many times even when you go, because I've had the experience of going to makeup counters, and some of these makeup artists who apparently did not have experience dealing with darker skin
Right.
were not really able to help me get the right shade, even though they're the makeup artists working in the store. They weren't able to really get the shade right for me. Because even the last makeup I bought, when we went to actually, it was a makeup department store.
Right.
And when I got it home, it was too light. It was too red. It was too light. And I didn't like it. Spent however $30 or whatever it was, and it wasn't right.
Okay. But it's not, well, first of all, I think that, a lot of people aren't trained on how to work with a variety of skin tones.
That could be.
If you're not the same race as the person that you're working with, if you haven't been trained, it's very difficult, I think, because I'm a little lighter than you. Don't say anything. I'm a little lighter than you. And I did go to a makeup store because, I just decided something I was doing and I wanted makeup, which very rarely happens. And they assumed that I had a yellow undertone. And this makeup just makes me look like I've just died or something. It's a horrible yellow tint to my skin that is not normally what I have. And it's not only just the makeup people in the stores, but there was that model that was told, and these are professional makeup artists, professionals who make up models for magazines and all those shoots. She was told, and I believe she was African, she was told, you need to make up yourself before you come because I don't know what to do with you.
Right. And Kim, I want to say she's Sudanese, but don't quote me on that.
Right.
But oh my God, she's
gorgeous.
Black, and she is absolutely gorgeous. But she said that she would go to photo shoots and they would tell her, we don't know what to do for you. Can you please come made up? And she's like, who's ever heard of that? A model being made up before they get to the photo shoot, but they had no idea what to do for her.
They had no idea because they probably didn't even have her color in their palette.
Probably not.
All that makeup that they have all over the place, they had never encountered anyone that they needed a darker color for. So they had no idea how to work with those colors, how to, mix colors if they needed to, what to do with the bronzing, because some people don't believe that dark-skinned people can bronze, but they can, so it's art.
Yes, it is.
In a lot of ways.
I think they makeup artists because it is an art. It is art to be able to do absolutely amazing things, but make people still look natural.
Yes. And it's interesting because the makeup industry is a $40+ billion industry. And $12 billion of that, about 32.5%, is foundation. So you would, and we all know that there are some things that Black women will spend a whole lot of money for. They'll spend a whole lot of money on their hair,
yes,
their makeup,
yes,
their nails, their clothes, and their shoes. Okay? So in this $1 billion industry, we shouldn't have to struggle as much as we do. Because it's been found that women of color spend 9 times as much money on beauty products as white women. So if we're that huge a part of your market, you need to accommodate us. You need to make it easy for us.
Absolutely.
To purchase your products. I shouldn't have to go online and try 5 or 6 different things. I should be able to walk into any store like anybody else and have someone assist me in finding a shade
Right.
that matches me. Doesn't leave me looking red, doesn't leave me looking yellow, doesn't leave me looking ashy.
Right.
Okay.
So now, one of the statements and that was made is that this is because darker shades haven't been offered, so brands don't realize there's an issue, or because the darker shades available in store haven't been up to standard or advertised appropriately. Consumers then don't buy, so sales aren't considered satisfactory, and brands therefore don't invest in better research and development and marketing, as they don't think there's a market for it. And so one of the comments here is that thank God for Rihanna and Fenty, because Rihanna and Fenty did come out with 40 shades of foundation. So that's a really wide range of foundation, or wide range of a wide range of colors for women, that also includes women of color across so many different shades. And I think that one of the things that cosmetic companies at first did not understand, they did not understand about how our beauty comes in many different shades.
Right. And I think Rihanna and Fenty deserve a lot of credit, not only for those 40 shades, but they sold out so fast that it was a wake-up call for the rest of the cosmetic industry.
Right.
That, oh, maybe we do need to be tapping into this market. Maybe there really is a market share that we're missing. So, and then it was a competition to come up with as many shades as that 40 shades.
Yeah.
And there are some companies that had even more. But, she was really a wake-up call to the cosmetic industry, which is so interesting because it's that star power and that visibility, because there were Black makeup companies prior to Rihanna.
Yes.
They've been around for years, back into the 80s. But it took someone like Rihanna and unfortunately those companies didn't have a huge market share. So it was never considered a market that was, I guess, worthy of the big company's time. But when you get a big star coming out saying, here's 40 shades, and she's selling out, they're like, oh, okay, maybe you really do need to. But that goes into the problem also of your workforce needs to be diversified.
Exactly.
Because when your workforce is diversified, they can tell you, you know what, there's a market for this.
Exactly. But even before Rihanna, though, there was Iman. Iman has her own cosmetic lines. Now, Iman, her cosmetic line was primarily, I want to say, in drugstores. I think I don't know if Iman was in, we have to check that out. I don't know if Iman was in department stores or not. She might have been. I'll have to check that. I'm trying to remember. I think she was in department stores, but still it was not, I don't think it was as visible, even though she was Iman.
Right.
I don't think her cosmetic line was as visible in as many places now as Rihanna and Fenty. Because Rihanna she's part of Louis Vuitton, and she's part of that whole that whole conglomerate, which within itself has a very important distinctive brand. Okay, Afro Sagana says she was in department stores. Iman was in department stores. Louis Vuitton has that whole, that they're very big brand globally.
And they have the money.
Rihanna had that kind of backing with Hennessy Monet. I think it's Hennessy Monet, Louis Vuitton, that whole conglomerate.
Right. So, and they had the money to put into the marketing, but they also had Rihanna to say, this is how you need to market. This is where you need to market.
Yeah.
So when you have that representation of a diverse group of people, they can say to you, this is how you need to market it. This is what we need.
Right.
So, it was a very interesting quote in an article that we were reading, and I can't remember the woman's name, but she said that white people cannot represent diversity accurately. So if you've got all white people in your boardroom, all white people in your upper level management, all white people in your sales force, what do you know about diversity?
Right.
You can't you don't even know what I need, much less know how to market it to me.
Right.
You need input from a diverse group of people. So
Right.
whether, you need to have Indian people, you need to have Black people, you need to have,
People.
African people, because we all have different undertones to our skin. We all have different needs for our skin. So it's important to have that diversity throughout your agency so that you can truly address the needs that we have and how to market to us, to make it available to us.
Right. So another thing is people of color are not an afterthought and are not a passing trend that will merely get companies publicity. They are people and people who matter. Inclusion counts. We were talking about inclusion. And then there's a lack. And when there is a lack of inclusion, it speaks volumes, not only in the beauty community, but in society overall. So that comes back to the issue of colorism and the idea that darker skin is not beautiful, and that women of darker skin are not valuable, and that we're not intelligent. And so it comes back to that whole idea of we have to be included in the conversation to be able to not be an afterthought and be able to communicate how the advertising affects us, how what you're doing, how when we go to the store to get certain things for our skin, how you are not accommodating us, and that we are having to do other things in order to be properly marketed to. And we've got to, many times it's even an issue of what you have access to. Now, Fenty is, I'm not going to say it's, I believe Fenty, I've not purchased Fenty, and anybody that's on might be able to let us know, but I believe that Fenty is like mid-range.
It is.
The price structure.
Mm-hmm. It is.
It's not in the departments. I mean, it's not in the drugstores. It's not drugstore makeup.
No.
Now, it's not on the same level. It's not on the same price level as Lancome and Pat McGrath. Fenty, I believe, is the foundation is like in the $30, $35 range.
Mm-hmm.
Lancome is like in the $40, $47, $49 range. And then Pat McGrath, she's like $60 for her foundation. So depending upon,
Pat McGrath is African American, correct?
yes.
Okay, so it's important to put that out there, because so if those people don't know who Pat McGrath is.
Pat McGrath is an African American who has a major cosmetic brand. She is like she was a makeup artist to the stars and all that. She is, I believe she's $1 billion makeup brand, Pat McGrath, and she is a Black woman.
Yeah.
And so, you've got these different ranges of where the makeup is, and depending upon what your access is to Fenty, I believe you have to go to a department store, to Sephora or some department store, and able to have to get Fenty. So you've got to be able to get to a department store, which
is true, but
you're online too.
Right, but so I think that the beauty of that, though, is that I can go in and get my matched with what looks good on me. Mm-hmm. And then once I find my color, I can order it online. But I don't have to order 150 different shades online and figure out which one is right right for me. So I think the beauty of having a brick and mortar where I can go in and try on different colors and try and see, you know, do I have red undertones? Do I have yellow undertones? Do I need a lighter or darker here? Makes more sense to me when you're dealing with a skin tone that may be harder to match from a drugstore purchase.
Right. As long as you're able to get to a department store, and be able to have that kind of attention given in a department store or a makeup store, a store that is a makeup store.
Right.
Because some stores are just strictly makeup. Sephora is strictly makeup. They don't carry, at least not the last time I was in Sephora, they don't carry clothing or anything like that. They're strictly a standalone makeup store, like the MAC store is a standalone makeup store. So they're supposed to have people who specialize in makeup and know once again, though, you got to have the right people that know how to match you.
Right. That's important.
It is. It's very important. And I think that we as darker skinned women have to begin to look at that and say, okay, when we go in these stores, do you have people in these stores who know how to match my complexion?
Right.
Because if I make a purchase, and this is what you're telling me, I mean, and I might look at it because, too, I believe that the lighting in makeup stores is different.
It is.
Than the lighting when you get home.
It is.
And when you get home and you put that on and you're like, this didn't look like this in the store.
Right.
Now you're dealing with a totally different lighting and you're seeing yourself in a different light. And it's just not what you expected.
Right. And one thing I do want to make clear is it doesn't always have to be a Black makeup artist that helps you. Because the lady that found the shade for you was a middle-aged white woman. But she looked at you and she says, oh, well, that's too red for you, the particular brand you had on. And when she matched you, it was like, wow, this is what she should be looking like.
Right.
So it is, as long as the person is knowledgeable about their products,
right,
and about different skin colors and different skin tones and different skin undertones, then, that's fine. And, something that we also did talk about is, I love it when I see dark skinned women wearing red lipstick and bright eyeshadow because it can look beautiful on you. But, a lot of times you're also steered away from that kind of, oh, that's too bright for you, or, oh, that doesn't look good on you. Some of these women can rock some of this stuff.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
That is just.
Now, I to this day don't like red lipstick. Red lipstick for me just.
Well, I just want to point out that you did get this guy that was practically ready to marry you in the store when you tried on that red lipstick. Okay, so they stopped. I just want everybody to know they stopped walking down the mall and stared at her in her red lipstick.
Yeah, but still, I don't know. Red lipstick still for me just. I don't know what it is.
That's a personal thing. It's not to say that I've heard people say dark skinned women shouldn't wear red lipstick. Why?
I did find one red lipstick that I really, really, really like. I want to say it might have been Lip Bar. I do have one red, but it's not a bright red. It's a deep red. And I have seen some women, my shade and darker, rock some red lipstick, but it just does not. I don't know. For me,
that's the interesting thing about being beautiful is you have to feel beautiful.
Exactly.
So you have to feel comfortable with what you're wearing.
And then I think too, when we were growing up, in the time that I was growing up,
Jezebel.
Red lipstick.
Jezebel was wearing red lipstick.
I have red nail polish on you with Jezebel. And
right.
It's still sticking in the back of my head about wearing that red lipstick.
Yeah, that's right. Being a Jezebel. That's right.
Jezebel, you wore that red lipstick.
That's right.
So now we're going to, this particular phrase or comment, while erasing colorism would be good for businesses on an economic level, the social importance of representation and inclusion are the most important goals to be prioritized. And I think that is very important because it can't be just
About the money.
about the money.
Mm-hmm.
That erasing colorism in advertising and just showing light-skinned women when you're talking about beauty, in, you know, just deciding that, okay, this is what the standard of beauty is, and this is who we're going to put in the print and who we're going to put on TV, and, you know, how we're going to showcase our particular brand.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be talking about, okay, we're going to do away with that. We're going to start now to get women in there because that's going to make our brand look better. It's going to bring in more money. It's got to go deeper than that.
Right. And it's about allowing everybody to feel beautiful, allowing everybody to feel worthy, allowing everybody to feel respected.
Right.
Because, you know, being public health like I am, you know, when you feel worthy, when you feel beautiful, when you feel respected, that's so much better for your health from a mental standpoint.
Right.
Because, you know, you can go into these depressions and, you know, that's not good for your mental health. That's not good for your physical health.
Right.
And so you do need to feel that, you know, if you're one who chooses to wear makeup and that's what makes you feel even more beautiful than you already are, then you need to be able to have that option available to you. You know, if it's something that, you know, a spot that you want to cover up and you feel that, you know, this is something that you need to feel even more beautiful than you already are, because I personally believe everybody's naturally beautiful. But if this is what because don't feel that you have to wear makeup. But if that's what you choose to do to feel even better about yourself, to feel even more beautiful than you already are, then you should have that option available to you just as readily as anybody and everybody else. And when things are not readily available to you, that that has a lot of impact on your self-worth,
Yeah.
on your values of
Right.
yourself.
Right.
It raises your stress level because now, you know, and I don't think sometimes people realize how stressful certain things can be. It can be stressful when you're trying to, you know, do the things that make you feel beautiful and you got to put so much work into it.
Right. And
So,
then to even do all that work and still be not considered beautiful.
yeah.
After you've done all that, you know, you've done all the things. And I think many times as women, we're given what the standard of beauty is, and we feel that we have to be that's what the standard of beauty is. That, and you know, I honestly, I think that many times we put so much pressure on ourselves and on each other, because one thing that was really important that you said, if you choose not to wear makeup, that's an okay thing.
That's right.
It's an okay thing. Not everybody is, you know, has to have all the foundation and the eyeshadow and the eyelashes and the eyebrows perfectly done and all of that. You know, it's about what makes you feel good.
Mm-hmm.
And it's about people respecting your choice and how you choose to show up in the world. Not every woman chooses to wear makeup.
That's true.
And
But if you
that's an okay
choose,
thing. I think many times we've gotten to a place now where we're like, I don't know why that girl don't make herself up or something. No, she doesn't have to. Why does she have to? Because we've been told that that's part of the standard of beauty is being made up with. Now I do the eyelashes and I do all that stuff. That's what I do for me. But it doesn't mean that. And you've chosen differently. You've chosen not to do that, and that's fine, and it's okay on both ends. As long as, though, I have to honestly say, as long as on the makeup end, you're doing it as an enhancement and not as a
cover.
like you have to drastically change your appearance because you don't like what you see in the mirror, which is what we talked about with the skin lightening and the idea of feeling that you have to lighten your skin because you don't like what you see in the mirror, and you feeling that you have to make a drastic change in your appearance. If that's the case, then I think that you may need to look a little deeper into why you feel that you have to make drastic changes in your appearance to be beautiful. Makeup, to me, and I'm just speaking for me, makeup should be an enhancement. It shouldn't be a totally transformative thing where, when you take the makeup off, nobody even knows who you are.
Right. Right. It should definitely be an enhancement.
Right.
And that has a lot to do with
not do it. It's an okay thing.
Right. Yeah. But when you do decide to do it, it should be something that's readily available to you. It shouldn't be something stressful for you to try and find what matches your skin tone and things like that.
Right. Exactly. So according to a report conducted in 2016, now this was 4 years ago, just 22% of the models featured in ads in the UK and the United States were ethnic, meaning Black, Asian, Hispanic, while the rest, 78%, were white. I don't honestly think that's changed that much since 2016. I do think that there have been more. Well, let me put it this way: we've seen more darker skinned Black women with Lupita Nyong'o and Lancome. We've seen some other actresses, and we've even seen a handful, I would say, here and there, showing darker skinned women, or even just women of color,
right,
in beauty ads. But it's still not even close to 50%.
Right. Or it's not even representative of the population. And I think 40% of the population is minority. So, and then when you look at that 22%, how many of that 22% were actually African American? Because, or even dark skinned African Americans? Because, it's so interesting to me when we're talking about colorism, and colorism is everywhere. And, they talk about colorism in Asia and the dark skinned Asians.
Yeah.
When I look at, and this is just from my point, I look at what they call dark skin, and to me, that's not dark skin, but it's darker than what they consider to be the standard of beauty.
Right.
But when you're looking at that 22%, of that 22%, how many of them were African American, and how many of those African Americans were dark skinned?
Right.
So it's once again about seeing yourself represented, seeing yourself as a picture of beauty.
Right.
Seeing yourself as worthy of deserving the opportunity to enhance your beauty.
Right. Right. So another thing here is it is also impossible to represent communities and identify their needs without fostering an environment where people of color are not only present, but feel they can speak up. If ignored, brands will be left scrambling as more dynamic challengers provide the inclusivity customers demand. So this was one of the things I think that we mentioned when Rihanna was on and talking about colorism, the elephant in the room, and about how brands do things. And she, as a market research and market strategist, was saying that when companies do well, you need to let them know that they've done good, right? That, okay, we like that ad, we like the diversity that you've included in that ad, and then we have to also be able to speak up when we don't like what we see. And I think that we've gotten to a place more so now than ever that we do that. We are speaking up more that, listen, that ad was not cool. That happened with Dove, and with some of the other brands, it was like, no.
Yeah.
That ad was not good. But see, too, I think many times And this is one of the things that I continually say when we have these discussions is that it's difficult to sometimes know. Well, let me put it this way. There are some things that are blatantly offensive.
Oh, definitely.
And we should know what these blatantly offensive things are. However, there are some things that some people will be offended by and others may not be. So as a brand, many times you take a risk when you do certain things because there are some people of color who will be offended. There are some who may not be offended.
And I think that has a lot.
That's so true, because I think that even I know that sometimes I'm not a person who enjoys, well, I shouldn't say it. I'm not, there's a lot of things that aren't funny to me that comedians say, just not funny. But, you know, I might not be offended necessarily by it, even though I don't think it's funny, whereas other people are, you know, almost rolling out of their seats because they think it's funny. I'm like, that's really not funny. But, you know, and then the other thing that I always say too is that we have to be careful that every negative interaction we have is not always racism. It's not always colorism.
Sure.
And those kind of things we have to be careful of, because sometimes we become super sensitive about certain things. And we have to, like I say, I can't assume that because I've had a negative interaction with someone who's light skinned that it's colorism, that she doesn't like dark skinned women. Now, there are some that were very blatantly an issue. She had an issue with my color. And I've learned to be able to discern what those particular issues are. But sometimes people just have a bad day. It doesn't necessarily mean that they're racist or that they're colorists. It's just a bad day. Unless it's something, like I say, that's very blatant, that you just know, you know.
Well, so that's the importance of having diversity on your team, and not only diversity as far as races, but even tones within that race. Because I know something that I may not see as, I mean, I think I would see the big things that were generally overall offensive to anyone of color.
Oh yeah.
Okay? I mean, I would basically be able to spot that in a minute.
Oh yeah.
But I may not always pick up on the subtle things.
Right.
It would be more offensive to someone who's dark skinned because I've never seen life from their point of view.
Right.
So as much, or I may not, I'm American. I may once again see the big thing, but somebody who's African or Indian may say, you know, that's offensive because.
And see, like, I never knew red bone was offensive because I never knew the term red bone was offensive because it was a term that was used to describe light-skinned women. And when it was used in a context that
was supposed to be somewhat complimentary.
That was the preference, that a woman be red bone. So I didn't know that it was an offensive term. I had no idea. As a matter of fact, I honestly just learned that in the last few years, that red bone is offensive.
Right.
Now, again, sometimes that can depend upon who you talk to.
Right.
You know, because I also was reading that someone was saying it was dehumanizing to call products chocolate, mocha, and another term, which to me is not offensive. I call myself a chocolate girl all the time.
Right.
But there are some people who are offended, apparently, by saying chocolate.
Right. I think the person was saying that, why are we foods or something like that? It was chocolate, mocha, and cocoa or something like that.
You know.
Right. So
I love chocolate, so I'm good with that.
You know, once again, you know, in the advertising that you're doing, you do have to consider, you know, that subtlety. You know, there are some names that you come up with that one company came up with that was just outright racist.
Yeah.
And anybody with any kind of moral compass should have recognized it. But, you know, in overall, in general, I think that you know, when you have that diversity in your company,
Mhm.
you can avoid it as long as
Right.
people in the company feel that when they say it, it's going to be heard.
Right. And it's so, like you say, that's so important because there are things that a person of color can tell you that I'm telling you right now, that's going to be offensive. Do not do not do that, because there's going to be somebody who's going to take offense to that. And not that you're going to be able to necessarily have something that no one will take offense to, but you're better off having something that errs on the side of least offense. Because when you're talking about marketing and having to strategize and come up with things that people are going to want to buy, you know, and so many companies, you know, in the recent years have come out and had to make apologies. Some of them were accepted, some of them weren't, within the community of color.
Right.
Even the, you know, especially I think in the Black community, you know, they came out and said certain things that were, you know, Black people were like, no, you should have known.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think that I specifically remember, and I can't remember the brand right this minute, but they came out with something with some big red lips and dark skin. And the Black community was like, yeah, no.
But so here's the interesting thing. I don't know where the company was based, if it was based here in the US, but this is the other reason for the importance of diversity, especially for companies outside of the US. And I know this was,
Yeah, I think the company was outside of the United.
yeah, so here's my point. It was a few years ago, I'm not going to give away my age, but a few years ago, I was in the military and I went to Korea. Never been outside the country before in my life, and I went to Korea. And in the airport, they were selling little dolls that were probably as black as this shirt with big red lips and a piece of watermelon. So where did they get that from?
Mm,
And did they know it was offensive? Because possibly watching American television or looking at some of the things in America,
yeah,
they may have felt
yeah,
that this was acceptable. So you need to make sure that your concept of what's acceptable in a culture is really a concept from that culture versus a concept from previous advertising and media. Because
right,
that will get you in trouble.
right. That's so true. That is so true. And also, the depiction of dark-skinned women
Mm.
over the centuries
Mhm.
has been such that it has not been a depiction of beauty.
No.
It has not been a depiction of value.
Right.
It has not been a depiction of intelligence.
Mm.
And if we don't stand up and begin to really say, this is not who dark-skinned women are, and that this is not what is acceptable, an acceptable way to portray us, we're not going to see any kind of difference if we don't stand up and say, this is not acceptable. This is not who we are.
Right. And you know, we have the Black community has such buying power, and dollars talk. So we can say, you know what, when I go in the makeup store, I want to find my shade. And if I don't, I'm not buying 3 or 4 of your other shades to mix together.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I'm going to go to the counter that has what I want and what I need.
Right.
And
Absolutely. Absolutely.
so our money talks. Money
It
talks.
does. And we have to be willing to either not put our money out there until changes are made. And this is so key. This is what is so key for us as Black people, people of color, is that we begin to really understand that money talks.
That's it.
And that where we put our money, if we held back our money, we would see so many changes take place.
That's it.
Because that's what it boils down to. But see, again, we've got to be willing to sacrifice and say, we're not spending our money there.
And we have to be willing to.
I have to, if I, and I say this all the time, and I bring this up all the time about the Montgomery bus boycott. Those Black people stayed off the bus for a year.
Yeah.
Okay, until they could ride where they want to ride. So until we get to, and after a while, the bus company was going, they were going bankrupt. So they had to make a decision. Are we going to let Black people come on the bus and sit wherever they want to? Or are we going to continue with this charade and go bankrupt? So a decision had to be made. And it was not, oh, we've seen the light. No, it was a bottom dollar, bottom line money decision. It was not, we've seen the light. It was none of that. It was, we don't want to go bankrupt. So this is what we're going to have to do. We need to get them back on the bus, putting their money in there, riding the bus. It was a financial decision. It wasn't that we see the light and now we just want Black people to be on the bus anywhere. No, it was a financial decision.
Right.
So we've got to understand that our buying power as Black people, as people of color, our buying power makes the difference. And if we began to really see that and understand that, okay, you don't have shade, you don't have makeup for my shade. Like you said, I'm not buying 3 different shades to try to figure it out myself. You need to try to figure it out.
That's right. And we need to support those companies as much as we can that are Black owned and that are making our shades.
Yes.
And the final thing is that it's, once again, it shouldn't be a light skin, dark skin. It shouldn't be like, oh, well, I'm going to continue to shop there because they got my shade. So good luck to you, sister. Sometimes we need to band together and say, you know what? If I can't shop with my dark skinned sister at the same counter and buy this, and we can't both walk away with the makeup that we want, then I'm not shopping with you too. Because guess what? It might be easier for me to find my shade anywhere than it is for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to band together. It's none of this light skin, dark skin, that's your problem type thing. It's our problem as a culture. It's our problem as women of color, that we need to be supportive of each other, and we need to be really promoting the need for beauty products for all of us.
Okay, awesome. And so before we go, I'm going to give you a list of, see if I can do this easily, 42 Black-owned beauty brands to support now and always. We talked about Black Opal. Now, according to this article, now this is at allure.com. According to allure.com, these are Black-owned cosmetic brands. So I'm going by what allure.com says. Black Opal, Pat McGrath. We talked about Pat McGrath Labs. Hyperskin, never heard of them, but Hyperskin. Colored Rain Cosmetics, I've bought from Colored Rain Cosmetics. Beauty Stat Cosmetics. TPH by Taraji. Oh, Taraji has her own. Oh, that's pretty awesome. Apara Skincare. These are beauty brands. So they may not, well, it says Black-owned cosmetic brands. Okay. Bevel. B. Simone Beauty. Pattern Beauty. Mented Cosmetics. I've purchased from them. Dahlia Beauty. Love Scrub. Soultanicals, Folk Beauty, that's PHOLK Beauty, Loving Culture, oh, there's a lot of them, Pear Nova, Ace Beauté, Undefined Beauty, Oaken Handmade, Lamique Beauty, Gilded, Frederick Benjamin Grooming, Janet and Joe, Vernon Francois, Vernon Francois, Nayakio Beauty, Unsung Cosmetics, Base Butter, I'm sorry, Curly Clips. We found out this one the other day, Umoha Beauty. I just found them the other day. Anita Grant, Are We the People? Danessa Myrick's Beauty, Bomba Curls, Range Beauty, Beneath Your Mask, Beauty Bakery. We just heard about them the other day. We found Beauty Bakery the other day.
And that's Bakerie, correct?
Yes, Bakerie. Latched and Hooked. That sounds like hair. The Crayon Case. Salt Spray Soap Company. UHAI Beauty. Not sure how you say that. And the Lip Bar. The Lip Bar was actually on Shark Tank.
Right. And Fenty, I believe Fenty is, Rihanna's the CEO, correct?
She's the CEO, but I believe it's really owned by the Louis Vuitton. But she is the CEO, and I think that she she's not the CEO of Fenty Cosmetics, I don't think.
Oh, okay.
You know.
But the bottom line is really, irregardless of, you know, hopefully you can support the Black products. A lot of them are probably online, so that might be a little bit more challenging. But, you know, the technology is so great now. I know one company we were looking at, I can't remember who it was, you can almost try and do a skin match online.
Yeah.
And you can return the foundation for free. So my suggestion would be, ask them, can you send me a sample so I can ensure this is the proper color for me?
And some of them
looking to support a Black business.
There was one that would send you sample. I think you could get samples of all of their shades.
Oh, okay. So that's another option. But irregardless, you know, we still need to push for, you know, those shades that cater more to people of color, and especially dark-skinned people of color.
Yes. So as you continue to consider about purchasing cosmetics and looking for cosmetics and understanding about the billions of dollars, we saw so many different numbers when it comes to anywhere from 49 to 92 billion dollar industry, because so many things, it depends upon whether it was all inclusive of the beauty industry or whether it was just cosmetics, whether it was hair care, whether it was skin care. There's so many things that are a part of the beauty industry, but no matter what you're looking at, make sure that you are continuing to, for one thing, do support Black businesses, people of color that are really trying to make sure that everyone is covered. But also even the other brands, if you choose to buy whatever you like, whether you choose to buy Lancome or L'Oreal or whatever it is, that you are holding them accountable to making sure that all shades and all colors are covered in their product line. So you have any closing remarks?
Not really. I think that we've covered a lot. And I think the most important thing that we've said today is that, you know, you are beautiful the way you are. If you choose to enhance it, you should not have to struggle to find what works for you.
And please understand that you are beautiful the way God made you. That, and I say this regularly, that God He's the master creator. He's the master artist. And I can't think of one artist that paints only in one color. Artists choose to paint in many different colors, and God, being the master creator, the master artist, decided to create in many colors, and all of those colors are beautiful. You are the color of beautiful. And I want to continue to inspire you to, when you look in the mirror and you see yourself, that you say, I am the color of beautiful. We have products on thecolorofbeautiful.com. We have t-shirt that Renee's wearing, that I am the color of beautiful t-shirt. We have sweatshirts, we have journals, we have mugs, we have all kinds of products that are available for you to proclaim that you are the color of beautiful. So thank you all so much for joining. Please invite others to watch this broadcast and to continue to tap into the beauty of you. And we will be back next week for another episode of Color Conversations before we go on holiday break. So please join us next Sunday at 6 p.m. We will be talking about, I'm not sure what we're going to do next week, but we'll figure it out and let you know during the week. Don't forget Wondrously Made Wednesdays. We're coming up with a Wondrously Made Wednesday. Please post your pictures of beautiful women of color. The Color of Beautiful does talk about colorism, and we do talk about dark-skinned women being beautiful. On Wondrously Made Wednesdays, we celebrate all women of color. So if there's a woman of color that you wish to celebrate this week, we're going to be celebrating a young, she's not a woman yet. So we're going to say a young child of color who is going to be on Time Magazine's, one of Time Magazine's Kids of the Year. We're going to celebrate her this Wondrously Made Wednesday, but we ask you to go on the Color of Beautiful page and post pictures of women of color who you just want to honor. They don't have to be actresses. They don't have to be celebrities. They don't have to be famous people. They can be the special people that are celebrities in our lives. So post your pictures. Did you want to say something?
No, just follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We try every week to post, or every day during the week, to post inspirational things and just things to just lift you up and encourage you to remember how beautiful and how special and how wonderful you are. So please follow us on Instagram at
The Color of Beautiful.
Yes, and on Twitter at
The Color of BEAUTI, because Twitter won't let us do beautiful on the way.
So please follow us on our social media sites.
Yes, and of course on Facebook, The Color of Beautiful. Thank you guys so much. Have an incredible rest of your day and a wonderful, wonderful week.